everyone in DavidO's crew was arrested. His manager, his friends, his promoter, even his girlfriend at the time. Every single one of them was locked away that night. Only DavidO escaped. Because eventually, he got caught. But
Hey, my country people. Hey, the matter one, yes, so I never heard this kind of one before. They say they don't pake. They say they don't owe DavidO, our very popular Afrobeat singer, DavidO. They don't arrest him. Make we hear wetin happen. Welcome to Big Things God TV. I bet this video help me share Liza. Make you react woto. Make we hear wetin cause am. Hey, this one strong pass me, oh, my country people. Make we hear am together, oh, Jesus.
DavidO is a Nigerian singer, songwriter, and record producer. He has achieved great success both in Nigeria and internationally and is widely regarded as one of the most successful musicians in Africa. But DavidO didn't have the smoothest start to his music career. Far from it. This wasn't due to a lack of talent or resources to create his music, but because a well-known Nigerian businessman and powerful billionaire was working against him and eventually succeeded in getting him arrested. This influential thorn in DavidO's side was none other than Dr. Adedeji Adeleke, DavidO's own father. You see, back in 2008, DavidO's father dropped him off with $2,000 in cash and freshman registration documents at Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama, a historically black Christian college. The plan was for DavidO to study business administration and come back to Nigeria to continue his father's business and expand its operations overseas. DavidO was a bright kid, no doubt, but school just wasn't his thing. At the time, he had a roommate, another international student who was a Rwandan track athlete, but he gravitated toward an upstairs neighbor named Jamin, an American kid whose speakers constantly rattled DavidO's ceiling. At some point, the vibrations got so loud that DavidO had to check what the noise was. He stomped up the stairs to the upper floor and quickly located his upstairs neighbors. As he opened the door, he saw that Jamin had a complete music studio in his room. Seeing this, DavidO totally abandoned his temper and mentioned to Jamin that he was trying to pursue music as well. Jamin invited him in and they got talking. He asked DavidO about his budget for equipment, and DavidO sharply responded, "I have $2,000. To Jamin, that was more than enough. So the two went to Guitar Center, a chain of retail stores that specialize in selling musical instruments and recording equipment, with a budget of $500 instead. You can say that meeting Jamin changed the trajectory of DavidO's life for the better, because after that day, DavidO spent most of his time in school making beats and recording vocal references. He also worked with his cousins B-Red and Shino Rambo to form the music act KB International. But at the same time, his grades slipped, and after 3 semesters, he dropped out and left town without telling his father, all of which imminently led to his arrest. Whether Jamin is a hero or villain is left for DavidO's fans to decide. What we can be sure of, though, is that the story of DavidO and his arch nemesis gets even crazier. After the rebellious DavidO dropped out of school, his first stop was Atlanta, where he used his older brother's ID to get into clubs and funneled the money Chief Adeleke sent for school and living expenses toward drinks and motels. His father also owned a house in Atlanta, and DavidO planned a successful heist on his dad's house and sold all 8 televisions there. Later, he threw out his SIM card and hopped on a plane to London, where he went MIA for several months as he shifted his focus from production to vocals. That might have guaranteed his privacy back then. All this while, Chief Adeleke still thought his son was at Oakwood University, studying business administration and grooming himself next in line to carry the Adeleke family business on his shoulders. Sad. Gathering up the money from the Atlanta heist, DavidO now had enough to promote and professionally produce some of his recorded songs. He went back to Nigeria and released some of these records. The first of these records was Back When, featuring Neto C. The single received so many negative reviews from critics. This made it go viral, so viral that even his business magnate father heard it at business functions he attended and all over the airwaves. It was said that Dr. Adeleke found the voice familiar, but didn't think anything of it. After all, he didn't know any DavidO, but as he couldn't escape from the music, he began to listen more and more, and his suspicion grew. Could DavidO be David? After he investigated the matter, his suspicion was confirmed. DavidO was in fact his son, David. All hell broke loose. Dr. Adeleke was furious and needed an explanation from his son in person. On arriving at Oakwood, he was informed that DavidO had neither attended classes nor been seen on campus for a year. The man was a cat's hair from losing his mind. He traced DavidO's whereabouts to Atlanta, and he was met with even more shock.
Oh boy, this particular, I said they feel cold. My body they feel as in they feel cold. Oh, you know, two more continue. You see children. Hey.
Atlanta House was intact. Well, except for all of the TVs. All of them. Chief Adeleke immediately went on the hunt for his son after hearing he was in Nigeria. Meanwhile, back in Nigeria, Chief Adeleke wasn't the only person DavidO was driving crazy. The fans loved him, the clubs called him, and the DJs played him non-stop. Soon, DavidO's singular success amounted to a big milestone in his career. His first live show. The day of DavidO's show had finally come, and still, it seemed like his father had no idea what was going on. He was still getting the regular allowances from him, so DavidO wasn't worried about his father finding out the truth. He was more worried about the matter at hand, his first live performance. He was focused on getting ready. Finally, his first live show. The hot new kid was upstairs in the green room, and all the girls were around him. Eventually, he was called upon as the next act. The time had finally come. He and his crew descended down the stairs. On their way backstage, they suddenly heard the sound of chaos. There was confusion and everyone was running. Let's go, there's army inside the show. There were about 50 army officials and 20 policemen rounding up people. DavidO took off immediately. He scaled the fence at the back of the building and took to his heels, running without shoes in the middle of the road at night. Everyone in DavidO's crew was arrested. His manager, his friends, his promoter, even his girlfriend at the time. Every single one of them was locked away that night. Only DavidO escaped. I guess having a Rwandan track field athlete as a roommate paid off after all. It was at this point that DavidO realized that his father knew all along. He knew, and he had a sinister plan to not only arrest DavidO, but to also destroy his music career. Dr. Adeleke was working with the security agencies over time. He was constantly seeking out DavidO and any of his close associates. He started sending policemen to any shows that listed DavidO as a performing act across the country and arresting the promoters. Meanwhile, DavidO was constantly on the run and finding creative ways to evade the police. But the funny thing is, DavidO didn't stop performing. His love for music and his fans was so strong that he would perform in clubs and find a private or unnatural exits to escape the police. This did not hold on for long, however, because eventually he got caught. But the most unexpected thing happened. While DavidO was waiting in a cell where he was to stay for 2 days before his father would come to collect him, the guard's phone rang and it was DavidO's song playing. Immediately, DavidO intelligently seized the opportunity to tell the guard that that was his song. The guard replied, "Now you be DavidO?" And he replied, "Yes." The guard immediately released him and DavidO invoked the Rwandan athlete in him again. He ran. As DavidO kept running from his dad, his song was getting bigger and his father was getting more furious. At the same time, it became harder to arrest DavidO because he was quickly becoming a big name in the music industry. Back When was a hit, no doubt. But DavidO's significant rise to fame came after releasing DamiDuro, the second single from his debut studio album titled Omo Babalo. DamiDuro became the biggest song in Africa. Even the Nigerian president lauded DavidO. Nigerian billionaires also supported his music and invited him to perform on their occasions. At that point, his father had no choice but to call a truce. In DavidO's own words, Dr. Adeleke said, "Let's have a meeting." DavidO reached a compromise with his father at that meeting. He, still a teenager, would attend Babcock University, where his father paid the university to start a music department for an inaugural class of 1 student. He would go to school during the weekdays and work on music on the weekend. DavidO's father also built him a studio and funded 2 videos. When he got to Babcock, he realized his dad had made sure his room was right next door to the vice chancellor of the university. But this still didn't stop him from sneaking out rooms of his dorm room to socialize at industry parties and blowing off exams to record music. He finally graduated from Babcock with a degree in music, fulfilling his end of the bargain he made with his father. The expectation for DavidO was to go to school and then go to work for his dad. Other family members told him, "You know you can't disappoint your dad. Do what your dad wants." However, after the success of Damiduro, his dad started supporting his music career. Dr. Adeleke is now DavidO's biggest fan and always attends every contract signing and every concert, while also assisting in managing him. It's clear that DavidO's passion for music ultimately led him to success, as evidenced by the unprecedented achievement of his recent album Timeless, despite his father's earlier opposition. Even though his father didn't initially approve of his decision, DavidO has become one of the most successful and influential African artists of his generation.
Yeah.
And his story serves as a reminder of the importance of following one's dreams and never giving up. If you're in the status quo and define his own path, or this one on Victor Osimhen, who also chose his passion over school, and like DavidO, his family had no choice but to support him.
Wow. The start, no make sense, so but the thing can't make sense at the end. My country people, okay, make gonna share this video. If you know, so you be lover of DavidO, and I would just see, I say wow. But the papa don't get choice than to quit. He can say, what will I do? But DavidO, what you do no good though. You know good though. At least you for let your papa know say I know this school. You obey. You understand? Not be say you just tell her I don't support that one. But anyway, we just thank God for today. Thank God the papa they enjoy them. I be but na school because that time when I come across DavidO, now this same song, everyone by me, you go say on the beat is DavidO. I'm expecting no war, and in a thinking no war, and they got it only know me. You know the song now, and this one will say a lot of them that time. DavidO, man. Okay, over Sabi, you too like a proco, share the video, share them.